Hit this pick.
Life is good.
Yes, life is indeed very, very good. Your SoCal Saturday duo of Barry Spears, Louie Barry, hanging out with you in honor of the other coast. Early pick 5 and late pick 5 carryovers tomorrow at Laurel Park. So we thought we would have some fun with it here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour presented by AmWager and AmWager.com. Get on in right now. 100% deposit match up to $150. They want to be your home for all of your wagers there in the state of Maryland. So check them out at amwager.com. Barry, thanks for jumping on short notice, but you and me, we don't hate a pick 5, friend. How are you?
Yeah, we love the pick 5s. Yeah. Nah, doing well. It's good to get out of the sun and, get some horses, man. This is what we do.
Dude, they drew the Stephen Foster today, and I was talking to somebody. He said, "Is it 100 yet in Louisville?" And I said, "No, that's Monday." Like, come on, just chill out. We'll have that very soon, but not quite there. It's going to be a hot one at Laurel tomorrow, but no indications of any changes. Certainly, I think they'll be on the turf for all the races there as well, Barry. So we're going to go through the early pick 5 here. That's what we're doing. Barry and I have both put together a pick 5 ticket ahead of tomorrow's carryover in the early sequence. I want to be really clear that we're talking about the early sequence here at Laurel Park on Sunday. But Barry, let's go ahead. Let's get it started, man. Race 1 at Laurel Park tomorrow. And this is an interesting one to kick off the sequence, Barry. I'm sure you know the weights and different things. And so I got some clarification on this before we came to air with it. The reason you see the weights that you do, these are all amateur jocks. And so this is a different style of race and different than what we're used to. And so the old, as Dan Illman, who's now the director of communications for Maryland Jockey Club, used to tell me, it's not jockey racing, Louie, it's horse racing. So, hey, buckle up, folks. Race 1 here is going to be on the turf. It is a 16 claimer and a maiden claimer, I should say, at 20,000 if you happen to be a Maryland bred. Like I said, going a mile on the turf here, Barry. You and I, similar horses here. I have an AE on mine as well. We'll get into that in a second. But you do have the 3 on top here in, how about this? Skiddly Dat. Like good start.
Yeah, this race is really tough. I mean, we obviously don't know the riders, and all these horses look the same on paper. So this should be real fun. But I kind of gravitated to horses that look like they had speed. The 3 kind of look like the speed of the speed dropping in after a run on the turf last time, June 1st, going a mile.
Yep.
Kind of went to the front and just kind of did the same thing around the whole track. So who knows what we're going to get, but I would think a horse like Skiddly Dat will go to the front. I think I got that right, didn't I?
Skiddly Dat.
Yeah. And then the other horse that makes a lot of sense is Somme River. Made up a lot of ground in that stretch run in the first try at 16,000.
Yep.
So looks very logical. And then I use Lady Limoncello to round it out. Showed some speed in the past at 5 furlongs going back last year. Should be forwardly placed. I think that's where you want to be.
Yeah, the Somme River thing is interesting, the 7 horse in here, because you can tell by how this horse has been closing races from out of the clouds, by the way, that it's capable of doing the closing. But if the horse could start at all, if we get out of the gate at all, that would be really spectacular here. And frankly, this horse could probably run away from this field if it does break well tomorrow at Laurel Park. This is it's a daughter of English Channel, man. I mean, this is, when you're talking turf royalty, this is where we're going with this. Right? And so this is as much as any. I also went to the 1 horse, Barry, on the inside in Lady Limoncello, 9-2 on the line here as well. Does have the 6 races under her belt to this point. 3 tries on the turf, does have a 3rd in one of those races as well. Has been sprinting to this point. We're going to go to the sprint route here. And Lacey Gaudet, does that very well, frankly, at 14% in a pretty good sample size here. Obviously, we don't have a jockey trader stat on that. But the one stat I did want to point out is if we are going to talk jockey racing at all, I think Uptown Cat the 12 on the AE list right now, if that horse happens to make the trip and draws into this field, it's one that I would play, Barry, not because the form has been especially great at the maiden 7,500 level at Presque Isle, but rather we're getting back. We're going to try turf here. A daughter of Kitten's Joy. I think that makes much more sense than being on the synthetic, but also just that this jock, Nevin, has won 8 or 7 of their first 28 rides. So 25%. So this is, a jockey with some experience. I'm going to guess, Barry, that this horse probably isn't making the trip once they saw they were 12th on the list and it's a 16 claimer, that kind of thing. But if that horse gets in this field, I'll be including the 12. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, it's just really strange that this horse has only run on the turf one time as a
Right.
4-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what they've seen that makes this make you think that this horse doesn't want turf, but that would have been the first thing I did, and it looks like they did that and never went back
Right.
to it.
Right. Yeah. So that part for sure. So I think just surface switch might be real good for the horse as well. But by the way, a reminder too, I can't believe I haven't brought this up. 12% takeout on the pick 5 in Maryland.
Lovely.
12. That's what I'm talking about. That's what horse players have wanted forever, those kinds of things. So let's support these pools tomorrow at Laurel Park. Because of that, again, we're presented by Amwager here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Barry Spears, Louie Rabeau with you. We are previewing the early pick 5, which has a $58,000 carryover at Laurel Park. Race 2 tomorrow. We get into the more conventional races here. An optional claimer going 7 furlongs on the dirt. $29,000 in the purse. Fillies and mares 3 and up have started for a claiming price of at least $12,500. We see a couple of favorites in here. Barry, you and I landed on similar horses, a different one on top. You landed on the 7 on top. I have the 7 certainly in my ticket in Peyton Elizabeth.
Yeah, more or less a drop down.
Yes.
And I think this horse really fits. I think this horse is going to be right in the perfect spot, settled outside of the speed, which, I think there could be a little bit of a lone speed angle with the 3 Neolithica.
For sure.
But there's other horses that could contend, like Photo Finish. But other than that, it's really tough to get to anybody else. But I thought that Peyton Elizabeth on the drop makes a lot of sense here, can run these horses down, might even stand out a little bit.
Yeah, she's coming in, daughter of Flatter, out of that Jamie Nesbarn, of course, hitting at 27%. He and Rodriguez hitting together at 25%. Only sample size, Barry, is 444 races there together at Laurel alone.
How many?
It's just a little overall between the two of them, but certainly one to include in the sequence for sure. I have that horse 3rd in my handicapping. You mentioned Neolithica, the lone speed here, Barry, and that's why I do like this horse in this spot. I'm not at all sure what happened last time when that horse just got tired over the good go. That's usually a good angle for this horse, but it's going to be dry tomorrow. This horse 5 for 12 lifetime going on the dry dirt, 3 for 4 at the distance as well. So just a 7 furlong kind of specialist at this level as well. I think the 12.5 price is about right for this one as well. Horacio Carmanos gets the ride here for Karen McGee, who's having a spectacular start to the meet, coming into today, winning at 30% with his starters there at Laurel Park, 31%, the two of them together. But you and I are a little different on the 3rd horse to include here. You went to the 4 in Feiner's Fillets.
Yeah, I think this is a better spot than this horse was supposed to run today. He was an AE today, or
Yep.
she was, and gets into this race. I think she stands a pretty good chance to hit the board here. Shown some ability to close late, and that's pretty much her ceiling in this race.
I went to the 5 Photo Finish, who does have a win one time lifetime at Laurel Park, has been running in claiming races before this, but doesn't qualify to avoid the tag here. Excuse me. So has to be in for 20. Sometimes that's just a good angle, Barry. You know that the horse is accomplished enough to be in for the tag, right? Trying the distance only for the 4th time ever, but does have a win at it as well. Has been running at Parks in tougher competition. Certainly they tried to stretch her out at Aqueduct last time, and I thought she ran really well. Frankly, I know it was a state bred up there for New Yorkers, but I thought she was pretty good in that spot. Just ran out of gas, yeah, because she's not built for a mile and an eighth. We're getting back to 7 furlongs here. I like that move from route to sprint here for this one, which Jamie Ness does do at 17% as well. So I think that 5 in Photo Finish, one to include here as well. We're talking through the early pick 5 with that $58,000 plus carryover tomorrow at Laurel Park. We're presented by Amwager, amwager.com. Go get signed up right now if you're a new customer. 100% deposit match up to $150. Appreciate Amwager hanging out with Barry and me on various projects around the horse racing happy hour. Move on to race 3. Your early part of the card tomorrow at Laurel Park. This is where I'm going to be taking my stand, Barry. 5.5 furlongs on the turf. This is a starter optional claimer, $24,000 in the purse here. You're going to spread a little bit more than me here, so I'll make the case for my single in the sequence here, which is Cactus. I think you would agree with me by the time all is said and done in the first 5 races. Cactus probably the most likely single of most players tomorrow as well. I understand that. And Barry, that's what the $58,000 carryover is for, to overcome any of us having the same single tomorrow in Cactus, who is now 2 for 2 last 2 out at the distance and on the turf. Now 3 for 3 lifetime. This is a horse that did 12 races in between turf sprints or turf appearances, excuse me, on the dirt, winning 2 of those 10. And they did try, 2 of the 10 on dry dirt, tried once over wet go. This horse now 3 for 3 on the turf. This is what this horse is made to do. Won the last 2 by a length and a half and a length and a quarter at this distance, is a good stalker, is able to have the late kick as well, Barry. There is some early speed in here. So if this horse does try to chase or falls out of rhythm with what he usually does, this 5-year-old gelded son of Twirling Candy, there could be some issues, and I could be out in the third leg, but I'm going to go ahead and single here with the 6 Cactus, who's back-to-back winner here. Hopefully makes it 3 in a row for me. But you landed on a different horse altogether on top in the 4 horse and Noble John.
Yeah, I have the idea that Cactus may have gotten 2 really, really excellent, perfect type trips.
Okay.
And with that being said, it's not like I don't like Cactus. I just don't like this horse on top, only because the price is going to be minuscule.
Totally understand.
And I thought you could give a shot.
If you have to include Cactus in the pick 5, yes?
Yes, absolutely. Noble John seems like a horse on the rise that can do the same things that Cactus can. Probably doesn't want to sit as far back as Cactus has in the past, but this horse is usually pretty forwardly placed. I like the fact that they got a race into this horse after December 19th, 2024. They got one in June 2nd in preparation for this race. I like the workout previously May 26th at Penn National, comes over to Laurel for this, and I think it's a good move. This isn't a real crack field, but I think this horse can handle this little kind of jump up in class a little bit. Previously, though, Noble John was running open 25s, winning at Presque Isle, which, in comparison to everybody else, is probably one of the better races on the page. So I'll give that one a shot, especially after that first run on June 2nd.
He'll break from the 4. You also have the 9 in your handicapping here as well in Vamos Viejo, who will break, like I said, from the 9, Kelly Breen and Ruiz, the 2 of them. You would think would have many, many more starts together, but simply don't. But Breen, slow start to the meet here, but not to the year, hitting at 18%. Coming off another one that's coming off the synthetic for you, Bear.
Yeah, I think the layoff might be the key here in the drop. I mean, this horse really hasn't proven to be better than this 12-5 tag. The last win came in an allowance at Monmouth, but those horses weren't all that great. And then before that, won a 35,000 non-winners of 2 at Gulfstream. But comparatively, this race fits. Should be forwardly placed. Should get a good trip. Stalking from the outside, and I think that might be okay in this spot too.
To be clear, I am singling the 6 in this race, but my handicapping was 649. Barry's was 496. So we're not different on this race. We certainly agree who the top 3 contenders are in this one. Again, we're presented by Amwager, amwager.com today. We're looking at the early pick 5, which has a $58,000 carryover tomorrow at Laurel Park. If you're listening to this on Sunday, it's today on Sunday. This is the early pick 5 on Sunday at Laurel Park. We'll move on to race 4 here on the card. This actually, by the way, starts the pick 6. If you're playing that tomorrow, I would suggest playing the pick 5s that both have carryovers and 12% takeouts tomorrow. Here, 6 furlongs on the dirt, another optional claimer at the $12,000 level. Starter allowance 8, 24,000 in the purse here, and this is for 3-year-olds and up on the dirt here. Barry, you and I, similar but different on this one as well. This is probably the outside of the first race, Barry, the most spread race for me in this sequence. I think we probably agree on that. But I'll go ahead and go first here. I landed on the 7. I know this is one that you're high on as well. At least in this race. And Pit Stop, man, you like a good pit stop, Barry? I'm getting to the age where I like a good pit stop.
I mean, I live less than a mile from the Daytona International Speedway, so I must have a little affinity for a pit stop or two. But yeah, this horse is really good. I mean, he's in great form, running very, very well at this level. And they're keeping him at this level, and that's probably a good thing because this horse is just cashing checks. I'm not really fond of the outside post, but it's not really going to, hurt this horse too much because of the fact that he really fits at this level, and they know it. Should get an excellent trip. The Wolfman should probably be out in front and should have a little bit of contention there with Abuelo's Pops. And that's enough to keep this race honest, where I think as long as the track isn't biased or anything, everybody's going to get a fair shot at their and run their race.
Yeah, this is they're calling this second off of a longer layoff, which I kind of disagree with just because this horse did run twice in May. It's not, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But look,
I don't know. The line doesn't really make all that much sense.
No, that's right. But Kieran McGee's numbers in this kind of race are really, really good. We're talking about a horse coming out of a win, go back to back at 26%, on the dirt at 23%, sprints at 26, et cetera, et cetera. All of this does add up. Plus him and Villalobos, man, we're talking about a combination at 31% right now at Laurel Park as well. So I'm totally with you on the 7 here. I think he's going to be a major problem. You have him second in your handicapping, though. You have the one horse on the inside and Jester's Song on top.
Yeah, another drop down. These are real effective drop downs in these kind of races into the 12 starter allowance 8s, and this horse was running 30s and starter allowance 20s and 12s. So they fit very well here, despite the past. This horse was running in these kind of races and should fit. I think on the drop, this horse is going to be closer to the pace, and that might make all the difference as far as positioning and where this horse gets the run from. I would hope that Rodriguez gets this horse out of the gate and in good position so they can make that run, coming off the final turn there. 6-1, there's got to be somewhere where we're going to have to deviate from the chalk typically. Yeah. I think these last 2 races are where it's going to be.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I got Jester's Song in my pick 5 as well. Totally agree with many of your points. I just think getting back, like you said, getting to this level, right? Getting to, the dropping out of these optional 30s back into a 12 kind of level. And frankly, being in for the tag, I think it does mean something. And this is a horse that's won 3 times at the distance, has never been good when it's an off track, but we're not going to have that tomorrow. This is a horse that's hit the board 9 times at 17 runs on a dry surface. I think he's going to be just fine by the time we get to post tomorrow. I'm a little all over the place in this race here. I do think the favorite, the Wolfman, is an interesting one. The 4 horse has been running at this level, finished second last time under Javier Toledo. If he runs that race again with pit stop, man, I think we could see a repeat for sure. But some of these shippers coming in from other spots could be interesting as well. I put the 2 in here at Abuelo Paps. How much this is, you know what Abuelo is, right? I mean,
grandfather.
There you go. Okay, all right. Very
Miami, come on, man.
By the way, speaking of Miami, our guy Steve sees Barry on screen and he's like, all right, I don't like Louie, but I'm going to listen to this guy. Imagine my disappointment, he says, when I get an alert for Laurel previews and I jump on to see a guy in a Miami hat instead of Callie Francois joining Louie. It's a fair point. But listen, Steve, whoever you are, we'll see Steve, by the way, at the Indiana Derby. That'll be good. Kallie's busy. She's an actual pro. Barry and I were like, let's do this at 5. That's different.
I mean, I'm sorry to disappoint. She's definitely a lot better looking than me. So I get it. I'm with you, Steve.
Hey, you got North Miami hat, Callie? I bet you don't. How about that?
Yeah. I would be hard pressed. This is a throwback, by the way. So yeah.
The Marlins have always had great gear. The gear, the teal gear with the F, the Florida
Top
F.
Notch.
That was it. That was the key. That was it. Move on. We're done with things.
There you go.
Banger. Just absolute banger. I mean, and I'll be honest, I think black hat with the teal better, but that one's still absolute banger. All right, Barry Spears, Louie Barry, hanging out with you. The close of the early pick 5 at Laurel Park on Sunday, as there is a $58,000 carryover. We love our folks there in Maryland, of course. Catch us, by the way, Road to Pimlico, all the different series here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. We're hanging out with Amwager today and amwager.com. Maiden special to close the sequence. By the way, and I know it wasn't set up this way. They weren't like, we're going to have a carryover on Sunday. We've got to put together. This was.
It seems like they did, though, because this is an impossible sequence, especially with that first race where you got the amateur riders and all the horses look the same.
Yes, it's almost like they do. I totally agree with you. But it turned out to be a really fun one to try to cap. But we get 7 here in race 5 in the maiden special weight. We're going 6 furlongs on the dirt. And frankly, Barry, a couple of talented runners in this race as well, and horses that we do have some information on. You and I are similar but different here. I do have the Brittany Russell trainee on top here in Maida, whatever her name is, out of the improbable camp. They're throwing the blinkers on this one. And all of the numbers make sense for Brittany here. Second time starters, first time with blinkers, throwing the blinkers on, this amount of time off from the run there at Pimlico. I'm going to chalk that up to not liking the mud. She did some good running early on. I was there over Preakness weekend when this one was running, and it was wet early in the week. So she was certainly running in awful, awful conditions. The time form US pace figures, hers are way better than anyone in this field. I think Barry, she can just get out front and stay out front. And I thought about making this my single here, Barry, but decided that the one for me, Awesome McKenzie, also absolutely has to be in my tickets for Timothy Keefe here. Comes up from Gulfstream Park out of the Sweezy barn. It's not a great angle for Keefe first time with trainer, but this is a guy that can get this one ready and in condition for this. All of the workouts make sense, etc. So I'm going to throw Awesome McKenzie into my ticket as well. So I'll be playing 1 and 6 in the final race. But you landed on the 5 in this one in Queen Bee, a first timer.
Yes. Interesting horse. Queen Bee has 4 half siblings that won first time out.
Nice.
There's a 5th one that just missed and won second time out.
Okay.
That was enough for me to deviate away from Maida, only because this is, Maida seems like one of those horses that if this ends up being really chalky into this race,
right,
that horse will lose.
Yes, right.
And if it's not, this horse will be, 1-2 and run off in the last race if there was like 2 20-1 shots that came in before. I have a hard time trusting horses like Maida. I will use that horse, but not with a whole ton of confidence. It almost looks too good to be true in a spot like this. And a horse like Queen Bee, who has a little bit of pedigree, that workout on June 6th was pretty good.
Yep.
I was just looking for any kind of reason to play against the 6, and Queen Bee has given me way more than enough. And I'm also going to use the 7, Anita Beer.
Yeah, I like Anita Beer on the outside. Yeah.
Another one that fits at this spot. That 45,000 run, they kind of proved that this horse was probably a little bit better than they thought.
Right.
And they stepped her back up into this company. Ran pretty decent last time. I think this horse is on the verge, gets a dry track tomorrow, and probably will improve off of that. I'll give that one a shot at a decent price as well.
All right, so let's go through our pick 5s here. Here's Barry's ticket on the bottom, $54. 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Obviously, part of that's field size. Part of that is not wanting to spend $540 on a ticket instead.
Exactly.
But this, would you, if someone's watching right now or picks this up tonight, tomorrow, whatever, would you consider this an A ticket, or do you think this is a ticket that can absolutely cash?
Oh, it absolutely can cash.
Okay.
I think the first 2 races are kind of straightforward. It gets a little murky on those last 3. That's why I'm kind of want to go against the grain a little bit on those final 2 legs.
All right. So again, 1, 3, 7 in the first race for Barry. He's going to use the 3 and the 7 in race 2, 4, 6, 9, race 3, 1, 7 in race 4, 5, 6, 7 in the maiden special to close the sequence. Like I said, I'm going to try Cactus. We'll go Spanish again. Nopal. You ever had nopales? You like nopales? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Nopales are bangers. And so that'll be my single in the middle of the sequence there. Don't stab anybody with a cactus, Barry. You settle down. 1, 3, 7, 9 in the first race. I'll throw the 12 in if it does run. It will add $12 to my ticket, but I'm very willing to do that. 3, 5, 7 in the second race. One more horse than Barry had, but going single in that third race. That's 2 less horses than Barry had there. I'll go 4 wide, 1, 2, 4, 7 in the fourth race, and just 2 horses, 1 and the 6 in the maiden special to close. It's either 48 or $60, so right around Barry's price there as well. Can I put these both? I cannot. Okay, so there you go. There's Barry's ticket again, and we'll get out of here. An abbreviated edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour. You'll see Barry again next Friday on SoCal Saturdays. Big week coming up, by the way, on the different shows. We got Stephen Foster weekend here in Louisville, which makes it a very busy week for your boy. And so we'll be doing that for sure. So make sure you're tuned in to all of the good stuff at the Horse. He's Barry Spears. I am Louie Barry. That has been our early Pick 5 preview for tomorrow there at Laurel Park. The 2 different tickets there on the screen for you. You can play along with Barry, play along with me, or play along with both, frankly. But for Barry, I'm Louie. See you next time on the Horse Racing.